advantageous. If there's a reason why you can't turn your camera on, just drop us a message in the chat and we'll let you know. Okay, so Charlotte, 60 seconds, over to you.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Watson. I'm also known as Charlotte Baskin Watson on Facebook. I run Wonderlearn English Tuition and I am based in South London. I do face-to-face lessons and online lessons, preparing children for the 11 plus and GCSE.
Tell us about your book quickly.
Oh, okay. Yes, I've written a book published by Schofield and Sims called 11 Plus English Study and Practice Book. You can get it now on Amazon and all good bookshops.
Fabulous, thank you. And there's a couple of Charlotte's books in the competition, I think, as well. Yes? Super. Verity, over to you.
Hi, I'm Verity. I don't have a tutoring business at the moment because I'm in the middle of a career change. So I quit my job last year about a week before the pandemic, which was horrible timing. And I've been retraining to teach English as a foreign language, and I've been working with an education charity, volunteering, working with children in year 6 and in year 10 for extra support to help them kind of stay at the same level, even though they've been missing kind of like in-person schooling. So
very good. Staying at the same level is growing right now, hey? Kaylee, over to you.
Hi, so I started tutoring a little while ago. I'm just going into it full time, so I was doing it part time. And I work with local authority children, mostly children who have autism or children who have sensory impairments and things like that. So I work for a couple of different agencies and I have a few children on my own. I'm a qualified teacher and early years teacher, and I have a master's in earliest education. So I take a lot of my practice from early years and apply it to children up to Key Stage 3. So that's kind of where I am.
Wow, early years is my special. I have a lot of love for early years. Julie, go ahead.
Hi, I've been teaching and tutoring for about 28 years now. I've lived in Hong Kong for 7 years and did it there, Australia for 7 years and did it there. And then, yeah, I've got my own business, Julie's Private Tuition, and I started off with just primary school and 11 plus, but now children who started in year 5 are now in year 11, which is a bit scary. So I'm now teaching up to GCSE as well. But yeah.
So you're growing with them, Julie?
I am, and I love it because it challenges me. I love learning, so right. You know, I see it as a challenge, and as long as I understand it, then I can teach it. So it's been good.
Fabulous. Amanda, go ahead.
I'm on mute. I'm Amanda. I run AJC Tutoring, which is just me, basically. I work with some private students. I work with some looked after children and some private students down in London. I'm dyslexia trained, so most of my students have, you know, dyslexia in varying degrees. I work from very young, age 4, 5 up to GCSE age, giving them support. I have a master's in SEN education, and I love what I do, and I love sharing my knowledge.
Super, thank you. Audrey, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Audrey Gibson from Baltimore, Maryland. This is my first year out of the classroom. Been teaching for like 20 years, and I basically go everything from pre-algebra all the way up to college algebra.
Wow. That's a lot of algebra, Audrey.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mary Jane.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane, or MJ. I run MJ's Tuition. I'm a qualified teacher. And after 8 years in the classroom, realised that I was allergic to schools. Couldn't handle it any longer and came out and I've been tutoring for 5 years now. I have private students, but I do a lot of looked after children. I'm looking to expand, and I offer maths and science tuition to GCSE and Kent Test.
Thank you. Thanks, MJ. Go ahead, Miguel.
So Miguel from Tutor to Worcester, and I've got the best job in the world because I'm not a teacher. I just manage a tuition agency. I've got 30 years experience in hotels. I come from 4-star and 5-star hoteliering, mainly in the food and beverage area. I pivoted in tuition. My wife is a maths teacher, so I know what you go through and the sacrifices that you all have to go through. And I thought that I could transfer my skill set from hoteliering, which is a people's business, into tuition, which I think is also very much a people's business, where we have the responsibility of looking after young minds. And I'm quite humbled to have that responsibility because that's what gets me out of bed. So thank you for being here. I'm a little bit threatened with all these educators, but I'm hoping to learn from all of you.
I think it's really fresh to have a non-educator here, and I think that your hotel background is very closely aligned with how we should be behaving as agencies. So I think it's really, really interesting to have you here, Miguel. Thank you. Ellen, go ahead.
Unmute myself there. Hi, my name's Ellen. I work for Bonus McFarlane. We are an educational consultancy company specializing in UK education and looking after children from essentially cradle to career. I work in our tuition department, so we manage roughly 600 tutors, introducing them to families for anything from 11 plus to GCSE to full-time residential roles, which recently have ranged from New York to Bora Bora to the south of France. And I guess personally, I also tutor a bit, so history, and I think like Verity, I'm looking to get into more English as a foreign language route as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Ellen. Thanks so much. I think you're the biggest agency that we have represented here. Miguel, I don't know how many you have in Tutor 2 at the moment, but
Tutor 2 is a franchise, so I think we are 15 at the moment.
Right. And it'd be interesting to know about the franchise model, because there's a few franchise models out there. Connexus is one of them, and it's interesting to know how that is working in terms of what the scaling issues are and that kind of thing. Maria, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Maria Martin. I run Maria's Tutoring Services.co.uk. I've only set this up since January, and I left school. I was working part-time as a Senko and left the school at Easter to do this full-time. I've got some work through some agencies and franchises, and I do the same as one of the other ladies was talking about, where in the daytime I work with children and out of school for whatever reason for the local council through an agency. I've got a master's in SEN. I teach maths and English, and my son's a science teacher, so he's just started to teach a little bit of science for me as well, so that's all good.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, 5 years up to GCSE.
Yeah, okay. It's really exciting to have this much sort of credentials in the room, isn't it? Orly, go ahead.
Hi, I'm relatively new to this. I have a background in finance. I have a maths degree, and ever since I was studying my maths degree, I always did kind of some private tutoring on the side. But more out of a hobby. I never really thought about kind of, doing it as a business. And then almost, I have a son who is 5.5, and I've been kind of sitting with him a lot during lockdown and kind of helping him with his reading and writing and maths. And then I decided to do some voluntary work with Action Tutoring. So at the moment I'm doing tutoring for year 10 and year 5 math students, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm very new to this. I'm kind of at the beginning stages, but it's very inspiring to hear everyone's experience and perspectives, and it's definitely something that I want to kind of progress and take forward in in the future. So yeah.
Thanks, Ollie. Thank you. Thanks. I agree with you. It is inspiring. Victoria, go ahead.
Just unmute myself. Hello. So I have been a teacher for 23 years. I started tutoring online and last October, down when we went into lockdown. And I've been doing supply teaching since 2011 up to that point. I'm secondary trained English teacher, and then I did 9 years doing primary school supply. So now I tutor online English from primary right up to GCSE.
Brilliant. And all that pivoting. Thank you. Taking the same skill set of teaching and learning and just finding a different way to deliver it. And then the children see us learning too. Sarah, go ahead.
There we go. Sorry, I saw my iPad. I still don't know where mute is.
Oh, sorry,
hi.
Sarah Fellows is right next to you as well. Go ahead, Sarah Logan.
Sorry, Sarah, you go. Sarah Fellows.
Sorry, it was the confusion. I said which Sarah is it as well. I'm Sarah Fellows. So I was an assistant head teacher until last year, and I decided I wanted my life back and to do what I love. So I founded Flying High Primary Tuition, which was officially open sort of July after I'd gone. I'm part-time in the classroom now, but I'm trying to build this business. And my sister was a supply teacher. And there was no work with the pandemic, so I set it up with my sister. So she's early years and Key Stage 1 trained, and I'm sort of Key Stage 2 mostly, although obviously I've got experience across. I've been teaching for over 20 years. So we deliver English and maths tuition to children from age 5 up to year 9. I haven't braved GCSE just yet, but we have only been going for a year, so it's very early days for us, but really enjoying it and just want to look at where we're going to go next. So this is really useful to me, so thank you.
Where we're going to go next. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about in a second. So that's brilliant. Thank you. Sarah, go ahead. Logan.
There's always more than one Sarah, isn't there? Yeah, I'm Sarah Logan. I'm running Next Steps Tutors. We set up maybe about 3 weeks ago now. Although I've been tutoring since October. Again, it's the same pandemic story, and teaching for 18 years prior to that. So just set up a company with an ex-colleague of mine, and we're looking to move things forward. We teach primary school, Key Stage 2 for SATs and 11+.
Brill, thank you. Can you just tell us about the newsletter? You just said, you told me this weekend you launched a newsletter and the numbers went up very quickly. Just tell us what you did.
Okay, so there's a book you guys need to read.
Come on.
It's called Launch.
Okay.
Has anybody read it? Launch?
No.
It's by some guy called Jeff. I don't know what his surname is, and I can't tell because it's on my Kindle, which is on my iPad. I'll find it later for you. But yeah, it is the best book about how to launch a new business or how to launch a new product. He's got the product launch formula, and it's amazing. And it's basically goes into the psychology of why people buy, and how to develop your customer as being you want to have a relationship with them. Hey, there we go, Jeff Walker. Charlotte, fantastic.
We're in good company here.
Isn't it good? And I've pretty much followed that. So we've got active campaigns running, and we've got some emails running, which are just engaging. We're giving lots of things away. We're building an email list at the moment. And over this weekend, we sort of started to launch that. And we've gone from 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, maybe, launching our Facebook page to having a reach this morning of 8,500.
Wow.
Organically. So
thank you so much.
You know,
okay, launch.
And it proves, guys, we can do anything. We're teachers and tutors, and we're used to going out and finding the things that we need to know. And so go out, find it, learn it, apply it. That's what you need to do.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Georgina, go ahead.
Hello. That was really interesting. I was enjoying that. Thank you, Zoe. So I run Green Tutors, where we provide GCSE and A-level tuition in all STEM subjects. So I've got a whole host of very talented scientists and engineers. The idea being that they can kind of show what happens past school with those subjects and make them a bit more applicable to life, and hopefully encourage students to think that it's not horrific to have to learn quadratic equations and periodic table, because they can do fun stuff with them. And having said that, I also work as a scientist in pharmaceutical research companies, so that's why I love talking about it all the time. And then just since last year, I've set up a group to help people share the things that they've learned with tutoring, which was initially to help teachers to bring all of their lessons online, because I realised that when you work in a classroom all the time, having to learn how to use Zoom to do the same thing is quite horrific. And that's been a lot of fun over the last year too.
Yeah, I think, can you just tell us quickly about your Facebook group as well, please?
Yeah, that's the Tackling Tutoring Online Facebook group. So it was initially some teacher friends that I had who started asking me loads of questions about what the hell is Zoom and what am I supposed to do with this. So I just started recording demonstrations in the group. And then loads of tutors started joining. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that they would be having the same concerns. So it's now grown to around 600 and included a load of guest experts from people who've done various things in marketing small businesses. And then everybody is also sharing their stories and experiences as they're learning. So it's a lot of fun.
Fabulous, fabulous. I think your videos are really, really clear and supportive, and empathetic as well. You sort of know how it feels, and that way you start, that's what you start from. So I think that's really, really valuable. Thank you. Martina, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Martina. I run Tina the Tutor. It's my own tutoring company, and I've been sort of doing a mix of teaching and tutoring over the last 10 years. It's quite comforting to hear that I'm not the only one who got fed up with the state school system. So I still work a few hours a week in a state school, but most of my hours now are dedicated to my own tutoring business. And I've done a lot of pivoting, so I just call myself a languages specialist now, because I have trained as an English teacher, a modern foreign languages teacher, an EFL teacher. I threw in some Key Stage 1 and 2 maths during the pandemic, because that's what was in demand. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to teach what people want to hear, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Luda, you know about that, hey? Okay, Anesia, you introduced yourself in the chat, right?
Yes, I did, but I can say a few words if you want. I don't know.
Go ahead, and then we're going to start the first breakout.
Sure. So I'm Agnieszka Choi, and I've been a science teacher for 10 years, including on the leadership level. And because of the pandemic, I've taken a sabbatical since January, and I've been since then doing tutoring. So my business name is Dr. Choi Edu, and there's my email in my signature. And what I'm doing, I tutor science, I teach science to some students abroad, and I run a Japanese club. So that's my kind of like a little love project, but that's what I enjoy the most, and I'd like to grow that bit. And I find it difficult to sort of advertise the two kind of different aspects of my business, because it's just me tutoring both science and Japanese, and it looks like very different audience. So yeah, so that's where I'm struggling at the moment. Thank you.
Fabulous, thank you so much. Right, so I think Ramon's not coming, and so I'm going to turn this into a business coaching workshop session, and I'm going to set you up in breakouts. If Ramon gets in touch with us and gives us a different slot today, I will announce it in the chat, and I will invite you back to a bonus session with Ramon, because I think it's remarkable that you're all here to hear him, and I was certainly waiting to hear him as well. So what I want to share with you, what I want to give you the opportunity to do initially, is to go into groups and to do something that Mark Huxley's helped me to think about myself. He's speaking at 11. The first question I'm going to ask you to think about is, what does success look like for you in your business? We'll come back after that one, and then we'll dig into pain points, highs and lows after that. But we always start with positivity over here. And I want you to sort of conjure up your North Star and share it with each other. And again, we're mindful of opportunities to create synergies and alliances. We're also mindful of ways to support and help each other and to empathize, always with the mindset of curiosity, generosity, and reflectiveness. So can I have a thumbs up to see that you're happy to go off into a breakout? And lovely. Okay. There's a lot of skill in this room. So let's listen and see what we can learn. And yes, we do want book recommendations. So Ludo, are the rooms open?
Yes, they are open. As Julie said, the question is going to be, what does success look like for you in your business? And we're going to give you about 7 to 10 minutes in these breakout rooms. And then when we come back, we'll hear from those breakout rooms the kind of thoughts you have, and we'll ask those people who didn't get to present and introduce themselves just now to do just that, because we want to hear from everyone.
But just a quick correction, I'm going to give you 15 minutes in this breakout because I want you to really stretch your imaginations. We're talking about your North Star, the big, big, big idea that people don't usually ask you. So go way past what's normal, what's reasonable, what's expected, and give us the audacious goal. Okay, off you go.
So I've opened the rooms, and you just need to click on that join breakout room, and then I'll bring you back here in 15 minutes.
I'm going to go into the breakout, but just say if I can help at all, let me know.
Thanks,
You and Helen are doing a wonderful job on the chat.
Sorry?
You and Helen are doing a wonderful job on the chat. That's perfect.
All right, I'll go and...
So tell me, thank you, thanks for recording. The question here, before I send you off to your next discussion was, and I know what it feels like to me, is how did it feel for you to stretch the edges of your imagination and talk about a North Star in your business or service? How did it feel to go way beyond what's normal and look at an audacious goal? Martina, can I start with you?
Sure. Well, I kind of got to see my North Star because Maria, I was just talking about how I live in a 1-bed flat, and my next big thing would be to have like a house where I have a spare room that I can convert to a classroom. And Maria just panned her camera and she was like, it's a shed in the garden, but it's still a classroom at home, and it's awesome.
Yes.
She's doing it now. So it was really cool to see, like, that's what I want. That's, you know, I don't need to be Lord Sugar. I would just like to have a classroom at my house and be a tutor full time.
That is awesome. That really is awesome. So then I have to go to Maria next. Maria, since you're living Martina's dream, what's your dream?
To be able that I'm earning money where I don't actually have to be the person doing all the tutoring, so that, you know, I can go away in my little caravan and not have to try and find Wi-Fi so that I can carry on teaching.
Very good.
That is my dream.
Right. So to build up a team.
Yeah.
Right. From there, I have to call on Georgina. Georgina, you've built up a team. What's your dream?
I was just sitting listening to Maria thinking, does that mean that I can go on holiday now? Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. I've got to the point where I've been growing and growing and adding more things, and I mean, I have no trouble paying the bills, but I would quite like to go on holidays. I need to learn how to better balance and not keep adding things. I'm just enjoying doing it. I think I need to find a way to keep doing it and also take holidays.
Okay, well then I know I have to go to Miguel next, because Miguel, you spoke to me yesterday about work-life balance. Go ahead.
So my goal is to become financially comfortable, not rich. I'm not looking to drive a Ferrari, but it's really to become financially stable so that I can invest in the balance. I'd love to take a year's journey with a backpack and do Asia and write a gastronomic book at the end of that, because food and beverage is my passion. And hopefully, you know, running a tuition with the mindset that I have, it's going to allow me to do that. However, the number one thing on my bucket list at the moment is to learn how to paraglide. So that's my short-term goal, is to paraglide.
You've totally taken me by surprise, Miguel. Mandy, I'm calling on you next. What's your North Star? Oh, I can see it.
Exactly. You see, we use NASA-inspired technology to change the brain. So for me, as you know, Julia, we've had this conversation ad nauseam. The problem that comes in is we know there's a cognitive skill crisis in society, never mind just the country. And I think everybody will benefit across the age gap from 6 to 99 from cognitive skills development. Everybody needs to have it. It should be a national imprint. It should be something government mandated. And so that's my North Star. But right now I'm starting in Fleet and I'm conquering with our NASA-inspired technology here and changing brains. And I think it's just something that I'm really passionate about because I've seen what it's done to my own daughter and the children that I work with here. So really quite, that's my North Star.
There's something very powerful about this phrase, changing brains, isn't there? Whoa, and training. Charlotte, over to you next.
We got a bit carried away just generally, so I didn't actually share my vision. It's amazing really, because I was thinking about 5 years ago when I was one-to-one and had left school teaching and just would have been grateful to have been able to make enough money to pay my mortgage, rent, eat. And here I am now, and I'm certainly not making out everything's amazing and wonderful now, but how your North Star changes, you know, and basically my North Star now is just, I've got so many ideas, and I think for me it's very much about publications. It's about creating things that are meaningful and useful for children, that will inspire them. I woke up this morning with this idea, having spoken, I think it was her name, Catherine, yesterday, about puzzle books.
Yeah.
I suddenly came up with this idea about a puzzle book, and I mean, millions exist, but I think for me, it's finding that niche to create content for pupils that will inspire them. A lot of people are doing it, so I'm aware it's a very crowded market, but I think the best way to start for me is just to start with the students I have now and create content that's going to be engaging for them alongside the lessons. But for me, I don't really consider myself a writer. I know, obviously, I've written this one book, which kind of came about almost by accident. But yeah, I think
over 3 years of hard graft.
Well, yeah. Yeah, for me, it's about creating exciting, innovative content amongst a crowded market and how to do that.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, and it is interesting, isn't it, how we're shifting to content now? You know, from Mandy's service. It's interesting how there's that combination. Now, I'm not going to ask you to listen to each other again because I want to set you off to the next conversation. I just want to show you that we are on a page together now. And I'm going to send you off into the same breakouts, please, for you to now consider what the challenges are. So between where you are today and your North Star, what are the challenges that you need to attack? When we come back after this session, we're going to be talking about top tips. So we're going to generously share with each other what we know that's going to help each other. But now that we've understood where our group is trying to get to, let's look at what the challenges are. And please be honest, because we're also very, very human around here. Ludo and I have had, you know, umpteen mistakes already today. So if you could please go ahead and be honest about your challenges together. And then we'll leave you with some helpful takeaways after that. So 10 minutes to discuss your challenges in your pursuit of your North Star. Okay, thanks. Are you staying with us?
Wonderful, thank you, Helen.
We just had the questions from Lee.
Great. Orly Shalom wants to have a session for new tutors. As a new tutor, it would be great to have some insight into how experienced tutors conduct their online session, which online systems they use, tips they can share.
Thursday morning. Bing.
Boom.
Do you remember which breakout you were in? And we'll drop you back. Oh, Ludo's done it.
Ludo, I just want to check. Batch's recording didn't go up, right?
No.
Okay.
Um,
We really triggered somebody. We really triggered somebody.
Julian.
Oh, can we pause? Right. Can I have some thumbs up, please, as to how whether or not it helps to talk about the challenges? Okay, lovely. Martina, your enthusiasm is infectious. Thank you. Right. Do I have anybody on the second screen? I'm mindful that some people have spoken twice and some people haven't yet spoken at all. So I'm going to do my best to call on the people who haven't spoken yet, and just to pull on some themes about what challenges we're looking at. Marie, can I call on you?
Yes, hello. Yeah, so actually the second session was great because I didn't get to talk about my North Star in the first session. So the second session was all about me mainly. So thanks guys for putting up with that. And it was really, really helpful because I had Sarah in my group and she was talking, she's obviously a lot further along, you know, with her business and everything, and mine's very much a reactive one because of the pandemic, basically, where I ended up sort of teaching online because of the pandemic, working for agencies, and then decided, why can't I do this for myself, because I'm making money for other people. So so I finally, after overthinking for way too long, set up my own website at the weekend. And it's very new, and I'm still working for agencies at the moment. Plus, I've got a couple of private students I've got myself, but very fledgling. So this festival's come at exactly the right time for me, actually.
We will keep coming back for you. Don't worry about that. Charles, I haven't heard from you yet. Oh no, you're still on mute.
Oh, sorry, thank you for that. I forgot. Yeah, I disconnected all my cables this morning, and when I plugged them in, there was no camera, no video, no nothing. I was hoping my phone wouldn't work the lot, so I was just listening to everyone gabbling with no voice. But I got here in the end. Hi, it's technology for you.
Practicing your lip reading.
Absolutely.
So tell us about challenges with pursuit of your North Star.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my 30-second soundbite is tutoring from home, wife and myself. Wife's got some health reasons, which is impacting upon the hours she can pick up. So I'm sort of taking on more myself, which is all good. And it's really just probably like what a lot of people have, running from your own side yourself without having some massive budget on Facebook and Google ads, as if it's not an answer, but as if that were the answer. So it's really just like growing, getting referrals, developing, and also developing in a way that isn't going to just switch off every year, because the one thing about education is it is evergreen. You've always got children coming down the line. You've always got the last minute parents that say, I don't need any help, then all of a sudden they'll switch and go, oh crikey, I need help. So you're trying to fix everything instantly within a few weeks perhaps, and possibly then the denial that actually if we started talking to your son or daughter 2 or 3 years before they need that final push, they'd make life, it'd be so much simpler for them. So it's just getting the message out. It's probably like what a lot of other people have. We're not an agency, we're standalone. So it's one-on-one online, no group work. So yeah, that's who we are.
I think that's fascinating. You touched on so many points there about, and the big feeling that I had there is how brave it is. It's just so, aren't you? You're putting yourself out there every day.
Oh God, it is very much head over a parapet. And there's an element of, I think one of the other groups we talked about, the old, I'd do it for 10 quid style people that are out there. For all the qualifications that someone might have, there's always someone, it's like, hi, I've just finished my GCSEs, I'll do it for a £5. Someone else says, no, actually, I'll pay you to let me be your tutor. It's for so if you've got someone saying that, and then you've got the perception that, I mean, we've home educated our children, so we know technically you can home educate your own children, but that doesn't mean that every parent can do it effectively. And the message is, if I get some books, I can do it. So you're also competing with someone that can wing it. And because they don't know what they're doing right or wrong, they don't know, it looks like they're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And therefore, why should I pay for anyone's help? And that's not just us, it's anyone. Why should I pay for any tutoring help? Because I can do it myself and the school does it for them, etc., etc. I think
right.
so.
So there's a lot of educating around what's the difference between an experienced tutor and somebody who's winging it. But that phrase that you just used, head above the parapet, Ludo and I use it 3 times a day.
Oh, okay.
We live there. But I would like a show of hands, actual real hands, please. Who feels that their head is above the parapet every day? I think that's our common thread. I think that's the common thread. And I think that that's what we can bring to each other in these conversations. Serena, can I call on you next? Oh no, you're on mute. It's always like that on the mobile devices.
Mute. Right, what was the question? So I've just finished an exercise session. I'm joined a little late. So what's the question?
You are very welcome here. You are very welcome here. We've been talking about our North Star as business leaders, and from the smallest to the largest business leaders, freelancers, small businesses, and now we're talking about challenges, how to get there.
Yeah. Challenges are because the nature of the business, it's been alluded to earlier, the idea that you've constantly got to be bringing new customers in. Fortunately, I've tried a few strategies. I've got the Facebook page, I've got a website, I've done loads of flyering, but it's all been through recommendations, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And because I work with small groups, quite often they'll say, oh, I'd quite like my friend to come along to this. And you've got that enjoyment of learning as well, because they're working alongside their friends. So that's worked quite nicely. And also making sure that you are working within the parents' expectations, but also staying strong to what you stand for.
Oh,
so
lovely.
I'm all about enjoying learning and practical learning and making it as hands-on and relevant as possible, because I think that's just a great way to learn. But you get a lot, because I live in a county where there's the 11 plus, even though parents will appear to sign up to those values, I still find that I get lots of questions about the 11 plus and, should I put them forward for it when they really shouldn't even be asking that question, I don't think. So that's quite difficult, just to manage those expectations and make sure that you stay true to what you stand for, really.
Lovely. I'm going to point you to Charlotte Watson, who's also an 11 plus expert. You two should get to this wave. She's here in the meeting. You can
Lovely.
Hi, I've literally just requested your friend.
I saw that's what just came up on my screen.
Okay. I'll leave you to it. Amanda, challenges.
Challenges. I was saying one thing I put my hand up to say was that how interesting it is, and people's North Star about change. Actually, you start out with something going in one direction, and actually through your work, you figure out actually where you want to go. And I've certainly done that through working with, being involved in the qualified tutor community. I found my passion, if you like, and where I've taken my business, and it's all working with SEN students now, which is amazing. Challenges, I would say, my own challenge is giving so much of my time. And I think that is really hard because, a lot of us in this profession have that very empathetic, compassionate, kind nature by, doing what we do, which what's make us good at what we do. And we're therefore happy to help and support. But it's knowing that balance as to when you're, like I said, just giving so much, like I can have a parent meeting that sometimes can be like 45 minutes, an hour long kind of thing, and it's where you go, actually I'm providing so much here, but it's part of your nature and it's part of your purpose as well. I don't know how to rein myself in, if you like.
Yes. And that's the curse of the freelancer, isn't it? Because you have to charge for your time, because otherwise you just keep showing up and people take it for granted. Atul Rana talks about this in the podcast that he did with Ludo recently that was fabulous. He talks about the fact that he had to cut the parents off because he was doubling his time. Every session took double the time because of the feedback. And it depends very much on the culture and the space and which kind of parents you're working with. Some of them don't want to hear it at all, do they? But some of them will listen all day if you let them. And they need that emotional support, and I know that that's really what you bring to those parents, don't you? And sometimes that's where the input has to go, really, is to the parents for the sake of the students. So that's really interesting and complex. So I'm going to send you off for one more breakout, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a survey. I'm going to ask for advice. But right now, what I'm going to ask you to think about is to share generously tips, tricks, and recommended reads. And I could do that all day, because you know what I'm like. Well, some of you don't, but I'm into my recommended reads. So go off, please, and share generously. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in one long, heavy conversation. Just share the ideas so that we can go off and do our own research. Okay. So if everybody could give each other 3 tips, tricks, or recommended reads, we'll come out that much richer. Off you go. 10 minutes.
Just a question for you guys. There are some groups that now have kind of 4, 5 touching 6. Would you prefer to go into groups of 3 or keep it in the wider groups of 6? Thumbs up for 3. Ooh, thumbs up for 6.
Okay.
Dead split. I'll open the rooms as they are.
Okay. Stay as is, right? Because you've done all the work now, getting to know each other.
I think it's really important. She said, if you don't mind, Audrey, because you said you were willing to speak. When she was talking about challenges, I think this is really important to hear, if you don't mind.
Please.
And I told her about our little hub we're trying to set up in terms of decolonizing the curriculum. But over to Audrey.
Yes. For my situation, I was talking about like value, and a lot of people were like, oh, some people want to talk you down with your prices and everything. For me, I had so many times I have posters, and usually I have my pictures, stuff on this. But one time I had a poster, I didn't have my picture, and the lady's like, yes, I definitely want tutoring. This is something that I think my child needs. And we actually had a Zoom call. And as soon as I got up on the Zoom call, she was like, oh, you're Black, I can't do this. And then shuts completely off. So I mean, like, really froze. And of course, everybody else is like, did you call her? Did you like? I'm like, no. Because I've been encountered with that, either just because the color of my skin, it's like either I should be doing stuff on the cheap side, or people don't want an African-American woman teaching, their white child, because for whatever reasons that they are. But I faced that. Like, I knew that I was going to get imposter syndrome, like all your values and everything, but I never really thought about just like the color of my skin is also going to be that barrier. And I wasn't so much worried about that parent. I was more so worried about that child, because maybe that child I really could have, because I have been, getting kids that comes to me with like a 23%, and all of a sudden they finish that quarter with an 86, or they finish it with a 90, which I don't know how they got that. But anyway, but at the same time, like, I have seen tremendous improvement, just, talking to kids. But just the fact the color of my skin got into the way of it, you liked my personality on the phone. You reached out to me. I didn't reach out to you. You liked what my service was, but because of the color of my skin, it kind of put a damper on things. And all I can do is just keep moving forward as best I can. But that's always going to be a part that sometimes I have to constantly think of.
Thank you. Thank you. We were speaking earlier about educating parents to understand what tutoring is, what the value of high quality tutoring is, about going to where the student is, and about providing them with improvements that are not only academic. And I think that child specifically needed to work with you, because there's a lot of re-education that needed to happen in that family and other homes as well. You are here in a safe and inclusive space, and yuck. But I do think when we were talking about head over the parapet, all of our different vulnerabilities, you know, we're just that much braver to show up and to continue to show up to help students when people can pull at us for all sorts of different nonsense. So thank you for sharing that one. And Charlotte, thank you for bringing that to us. We welcome each other's challenges, and we welcome honesty and authenticity. So bring it. Thanks. Okay, now I need to ask your advice because you're a generous bunch, and we pivoted in this session. It was going to be Ramon Ray, and instead it was all of us. And that's what a festival is. So this is what I want to ask from you. As you know, the mission of Qualified Tutor is to raise standards in tutoring together. And the reason why it's together is because I learned as a school leader that the only movements that really move are grassroots movements. If you want change to happen, you have to start from the bottom up, always with the mindset of improving things for students. So I want to ask your opinion about how Qualified Tutor, which currently offers training within a safe community with the goal of providing a quality mark, can serve you best. Go ahead, put your hand up, unmute yourself, or throw your answers in the chat. We stay at the drawing board over here, so whatever you suggest is interesting to us.
Julia,
yeah.
One of the challenges that I hold just currently, it's basically me running the business, is safeguarding. So if there's a safeguarding issue, where do I go? You know, I am the safeguarding lead, but if somebody has an issue, you know, I find that I feel quite vulnerable in that position. Whereas when you're in a school, obviously you have that process of the deputy safeguarding lead, the head, and there is like a full process. But when you're a small business and you are, you know, limited to maybe 1 or 2 staff, you don't have that same security, and it makes me feel quite vulnerable.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that. The short answer, our initial answer is always the NSPCC, both for your own training, and the safer recruitment training is really, really valuable over there. And then also in terms of asking advice, but I'm going to hold on to that question and see what else we can help to, again, because your head's above the parapet, you need support and reassurance. You need to make sure that your policies and procedures are solid, and you need to know that you need to know where you would turn. So I'm happy to hold on to that one. Thank you, Rachel. What else? Yeah.
I've done exactly what you've said. I've got the NSPCC. I've got the local council. So I've got the local numbers that you would call in the event that you need to, and that will be published as part of my policy. So I think I've kind of covered all I can, but it's just that vulnerability of being an independent business, small business.
I know that when I was in school, as a school leader, I used to ask my mentors in a very confidential space. I used to just call them and ask them these questions because they weren't in the thick of it, and their professional experience would help. So I wonder whether being here as a community and maybe having some designated safeguarding experts, not leads, over here might be a helpful sounding board.
Julia.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, was it Charles there?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah.
It's just adding to that, just slightly different perspectives. Now, I've got a sort of a second semi-parallel career that's sort of like an earlier life in hypnotherapy, life coaching. Now, wearing that perspective, the structure is normally when whoever you are, whatever group you're in, normally for every so many hours of working one-on-one with clients, you'd have, say, an hour with a supervisor once a month, once every couple of months. And it would be a place where you could confidentially chew over, I'm working with client X, client Y, I'm noticing this, reflecting things back. But that also means that you can just flag up. Now, one of the areas that you'll all fall foul of, because you've migrated, the majority will have migrated from teaching to tutoring, you're looking to try sometimes, I think, to take the mechanisms that work in teaching into tutoring, but tutoring's one-to-one. So I think you need to look at it from a one-to-one perspective. And just as an example, purely because I've been down that path, with hypnotherapy and coaching, which is always nearly everyone's one-to-one. There's no groups, there's no tutor or therapist in a school. It just really doesn't happen. having an external supervisor that's not working with your clients, but arm length, different group, could even come from a different kind of practice. It's really just someone that's professional, qualified in whatever that means, to be a sounding board. That could be anyone. It could be anyone in any country, nowadays with Zoom, just someone once every few weeks, once a month, you're just chewing things over with. And then you can voice a concern, or they can reflect back on, you're saying X and Y, I'm hearing you not saying this, or I'm hearing you saying that.
Fabulous. The idea that QT could offer independent supervision is something that's really, really interesting to me. Is that where you were going with that, Charles?
Yeah, in effect, yeah. And it's something that someone can do. And the ability to be the supervisor is really, if they've climbed the ladder a bit further than you have in experience, or having been there, should we say, heads over the parapet and survived, that's going to be a great person to have as a dialogue with.
Yeah.
And that's the method I would suggest could be really quite useful.
Gorgeous. Thanks, Charles. I really appreciate that. Charlotte and then Miguel, go ahead.
Very quick, and Charles, I love that idea as well. It's just a question I'm thinking about. I don't know whether things already exist, whether we need it. I know there's also the Tutors Association, but do we need a union? Do we need to set up a union? That's my question.
Very interesting. At the moment, I have an advisory group in Qualified Tutor, and we're sort of chewing over those questions about what the sector needs. And to be honest, Charlotte, I actually think that the sector needs something international. And that when we launch something, it should be something that actually points us to a more global approach to education, to tutoring, to teaching and learning, and something that's more about alliance than about regulation, but certainly with a voice for advocacy. So I have up my sleeve.
Yeah, I think more about our protection and our alliance rather than, as you say, regulation. I didn't think about it from that side. So.
Yeah, but we fall into tropes, don't we? But the way that Charles just said it then, we're not a school, we're a business. Let's make sure that we think nimbly is quite interesting also, and certainly not to pack ourselves in with bureaucracy, but actually to find a model that's fit for purpose in the same way that we're trying to find a model for schooling that's fit for purpose. But please stay in that conversation, because there's a lot to be done. And there's lots of shoulders needed. So it's all about shoulders. Miguel, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think, first of all, I think what you guys are doing is great to bring a community together. Because I kind of battled in the beginning to find this community, and then I'm connected with Georgina through her Facebook. There's another very active individual, which is Sid Femtino's. I'm in a work group with Rachel, so I've always kind of tried to gravitate towards where tutors are, because I don't know. So this year I've had to learn a lot about the British education system and tutoring, and a lot of social media, etc. And I think that what could be useful in this group, and I think there's enough resource out there in terms of local authorities for the soft skills, but those soft skills are very focused on B2B and not B2C. So, and I think tuition is very much a B2C model.
Right.
So, is there specific soft skills for tutors? And we're talking business soft skills. And I think even a mentorship or coaching opportunity, which is, I think, the paying it forward of us walking around this planet. I think that's a very important part, is that we could find a safe place where we could bounce off ideas and have that mentorship or that coaching opportunity, not only to give but also to receive.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks, Miguel. Anyone else? Sarah, you and I were talking about something. Oh, good. Go ahead.
Do you know, I've just worked out how to put my hand up, and then gone completely off. I want to set up a master group, which is a place that it's going to be a small group. it's going to be people who are raising the profile of their business, or taking that step up to the next level. And I don't know, once a month, 10 of us, whatever, get on a Zoom together and we talk about our problems, and that's it. And I think it's a really powerful thing. I've seen master groups or master classes in other areas of business, and I know that it's kind of like it's that theory that all boats rise with the tide. And I really like that idea. I know I've got a lot to give to that group. I'm looking for people who have lots of experience to give to me as well, particularly if you know anything about finance.
Sarah, you're speaking our language. I think I've got a mastermind myself, and I think that they're wonderful,
Mastermind. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's gorgeous about a mastermind is when your family don't want to hear it anymore, your mastermind is still willing. And I think it would be gorgeous I'd love to be involved with that also. I absolutely would. I think that's a great idea.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. In fact, should we just have a show of hands? Look what just happened, Sarah.
Do you know what, guys? In the app, can you connect with me? Because there's no way I will write down everybody's names, but if you connect with me, then I'll bring us all together.
We're doing it now.
Wow. Excellent. Oh, wow.
There you go. That's how we roll. Okay, my friends, is there anything?
How do you do that?
If you go to our app where you found the link, and you search for Sarah Logan. Oh, look, you were right. We do have a lot of Sarahs.
Oh, there's always more than one. I don't think I've ever been anywhere where there was only one Sarah.
So Sarah's over there. If you find her on our app, then you can just message her. You go press to say hello, and I'm messaging, I'm in.
No.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Great. Okay, so we'll see what we can make happen. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I think it was lovely. At 11 o'clock, actually, it ties in exactly with this. Mark Huxley is my business mentor. He is a leader in the company of entrepreneurs. And exactly like Miguel said, he's a pay it forward kind of person. So he scaled businesses in insurance, and now he pays it forward as a business mentor. What's lovely about him, and the reason why we clicked immediately, is because he's all about values-driven entrepreneurship. He wants to hear about your why. He wants to hear about your North Star. He wants to hear about your today, tomorrow, and your someday. And with that language, he's going to ask you to, yes, think about the numbers and have command and control over the numbers. That's one of his phrases. And he's going to give you some key proactive skills and ideas and structures to help you to succeed as a small business person. Not a small person, a small business person. So thank you for this time. I would suggest you leave this meeting open, just turn off your video and your sound, go and get a cup of tea, and we'll see you at 11. Okay. Thanks, Charlotte. Thanks, Marie. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Ludo. Thanks, Audrey. Thanks, Charles. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, Verity. Thanks, Orly. Thanks, Inesia. Thanks, MJ. Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Serena. Thanks, Kaylee. Thanks, Georgina. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Mandy. Thanks, Jamil. Thanks, Victoria. Thanks, Melanie. And wow, there's more of us.